What is going on, everybody? It's the Frogs, and we're here for AEW on TNT review for August the 12th, 2020. We had ourselves a stacked show with two championship matches, the $7,000 reparations, or whatever the heck they called it, champ match, and tag team appreciation night with the Brainbusters and the Midnight Express, along with the tag teams of the FTR and the Young Bucks, all tonight. This was another really good show. AEW just continues to put on good show after good show. They have some great ones. They've had some that's just, but it is definitely going to be, it's definitely a heck of a show. So, tonight started off with the Young Bucks versus the Dark Order, Stu Grayson and Evil Uno. And AEW pulled a WWE in this one. I'm going to harken back all the way to the original championship tournament for the NXT UK Championship. The finals was Pete Dunne versus Tyler Bate. Before that match happened, Tyler Bate, who was already suffering from a shoulder injury, like a kayfabe shoulder injury, was viciously attacked by Pete Dunne and had a very hard, big disadvantage going into that match. What happened? He ended up winning the match. So what does that tie into now? Well, the Young Bucks are making their way to the ring when John Silvers, Alex Reynolds, and I believe it was Five, came out and beat the bejesus out of these three guys. They beat the brakes off of them. You leave one out by the tunnel, and the other one was in the ring. Grayson and Evil Uno come out. They look happy as can be. They have an easy cakewalk in for this match. And I'm thinking to myself, they really just did that. I mean, it's like, okay, people are asking on Twitter, who's going to win this match? Who's going to be the one to win this? Gee, I don't know. You have two guys go out there, get the hell beat out of them by the other groups, by a faction before the match, and they're left at a disadvantage. I wonder who's going to win this match. It was too predictable on who was going to win this match. That doesn't take away from what the match was. The match was still a good match. Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, I wish when they did this whole Dark Order thing at the beginning of AEW, it would have never built to what we have now. Because it's just, what I want to say, it's convoluted. It feels like majority of the Dark Order is directionless. It should have just been Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. Get rid of the goddamn minions. Don't bring any minions in. Don't make it a big, huge group. Because it just feels like it's muddied and just bleh. I just don't. It just feels like you have Brody Lee, who came into AEW the week after the pandemic started. I know he got dealt a poor hand. Same thing with Matt Hardy. And the guy comes in, and it just feels like the match. It just feels like he's out of place. The whole Vince McMahon parody at the beginning of his time as a member of the Dark Order just felt kind of dumb as can be. But then it just feels like after his match with Jon Moxley for the AEW title, he really hasn't done anything. There's it's just like none of the Dark Order makes any sense. It just feels like they're spinning their wheels and they've got nothing. Yes, the Dark Order also had a tag team title match. What was it, last week or 2 weeks ago? They ended up losing that match. I don't know. It's like the Dark Order. I remember coming out of the final episode of the show in December of last year, how everybody talked shit, how bad that segment was. And yes, the Dark Order did get a little bit of intrigue because who is the Exalted One? Is it going to be Matt Hardy? Is it going to be Christopher Daniels? Is it going to be anybody? We didn't know who. We found it was Brody Lee, and then it just didn't work. And now it's an entire comedy act on being the Elite. That's what the Dark Order is. They're a comedy act on being the Elite. Why should I take this group seriously? Honestly, you can't. You honestly can't. But as I said before, Dark Order comes up, beats the hell out of them. Uno and Grayson then make their way out to the ring. Uno gets right to the work on Nick, who's in the ring, as the other 4 Dark Order members hang out on the stage. Grayson chops away on Nick, as Nick gets tossed to the floor. Referee is distracted while Dark Order minions attack Nick. Matt with a big senton off the stage on the group, and then takes a suicide dive from Grayson. Back in the ring, Uno beats up Nick, then brings Grayson back in. Nick takes some more damage and finally tags Matt, and he goes to work on both opponents. He decides to bring Nick back in. Double team moves on both Grayson and Uno. Uno with a big German suplex on Matt. Leg drop covered 2 count. Grayson back in, hits a senton on Matt while he's on the apron. Uno and Matt swing away in the middle of the ring. Uno gets a thumb to the eye while the referee gets rid of some loose tape. Grayson is there now. Matt swings away, but then eats a drop kick, then sends him out to the floor. Uno drives Matt into the apron, tosses him into the ring. Grayson with a cover 2. Uno swings away on Matt. Grayson pulls Matt out to the floor, but Matt throws him into the ring post, and he hits head first into that ring post, and I thought he was done. Back in the ring, Uno hits a cutter when he does the referee spot where he throws your leg onto the referee and then hits you with a cutter. Now Uno comes back in and hits a big boot on Matt. Grayson looks for a suplex. Hold on, I messed it up. My bad, I messed that up. I just definitely jumped over all that. Hold on. Matt throws him into the ring post. Smiles Matt in the big. Matt hits a big spear and looks to tag out, but Uno tags in Grayson, who then knocks Nick off the apron. Uno comes back in, hits the big boot on Matt. Grayson looks for a suplex. Matt counters with a poison rana, and it looked like they were going to go for something, but it ended up being happening. He hits a flurry of attacks on both opponents. Grayson is taken care of with a suplex. Matt tagged in, and the brothers put him down. Matt and Nick hit their risky business. Looks like that's going to be it, but no. Young Bucks try for a double super kick. Grayson helps Uno, then nails a Hurricane Rana on Matt. He actually was on the turnbuckle, on the top of the turnbuckle, and walked over Uno, and I think it was Matt. On Nick, and then hits a Hurricane Rana on Matt. Something awesome. Dark Order hits a yin and yang cover 2. Uno tags in 450 brainbuster combo. Oh, the 450 kick, the 540 kick. I'm sorry. Matt saves the match. Grayson swings away on Matt and tosses him out on the ramp. Grayson brings him up to the stage, throws him to the back, and tells the rest of the Dark Order to block the tunnel. Grayson and Uno look for the fatality, and Nick ducks it, rolls up Uno for the 1, 2, 3 before Grayson could break it up, and the Young Bucks win the match. And I'm sitting there thinking, yep, that's about right. That's what you would do. So, again, really good match between these 4 guys. Grayson and Uno, they just need to drop the rest of the Dark Order. They really do. They need to just drop it because it just, it's enough, man. I don't care about the rest of the Dark Order. Let Grayson and Uno be their own people. Just let them be their own tag team. We don't need Brody Lee, 5, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3. We don't need that. Just let these guys go out there, beat a badass tag team, a tag team that the Young Bucks were speaking so highly of back when they first started putting together this roster and giving us, hey, this team's coming, or this person's coming. These guys are great. This guy is great. This woman is great. That's what we don't need to see. This poor attempt at a faction that has no direction whatsoever. Backstage, Wardlow pounds on the door, bring out MJF. MJF makes his way to the hallway with his campaign crew following behind. Lee Johnson gets ahead of MJF, so he shoves him to the side and says to stay out of his way. Later on, we'll have Hikaru Shida as well as Jon Moxley will be here. Now we go to Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, and they are asked who is the greatest tag team of all time. Hangman Page is about to say something when Kenny Omega's like, you know what? That's an easy answer. It's the Young Bucks because of what they've done for the wrestling business. And you just see the look of disappointment on Hangman Page's face. He's like, I was going to say us. And Kenny Omega does remind him that we're really not a tag team. He pretty much spells it out without really saying all the way. It's like, we're just 2 single guys in this thing. And it's just like, The cracks between these two continue to form. I have a feeling if the pandemic bullshit never happened, and we were just, like, Blood and Guts would have happened, and then whatever else happens, by the time we got to Double or Nothing, I think they would have, their tag team title reign would have been over at Double or Nothing. But unfortunately, pandemic happened. Hangman on a Page disappeared for about a month and a half. So here we are. But it just feels like with the way they're pushing everything, and we'll get to that stuff here in a bit. It just feels like I'll go into later what I think about who's going to win the tag team titles and how it's going to happen. So MJF heads out to the ring in the red carpet and podium with his campaign crew. After MJF goes to the commentary, shakes hands with Taz and JR, but just flips off Tony Schiavone. He's going to talk, notices Nina isn't smiling, and we'll have that queued up here in a second. Well, unfortunately, AEW did not put the full clip up, but we'll get to the end of the clip in a minute. Now, MJF is currently shows off his polling numbers, and he is 500% to not 1,000%. Moxley, which I don't know. It's like, yes, we're in an election year. Yes, this is an EC3 ripoff from 15, 16? But MJF said he cares about the fans' well-being. He mourns for their belief in the leader, but for Dictator John. MJF says Moxley would care about the people if he was here tonight. Says he'll always be here though. He thinks Moxley isn't here because he's afraid of MJF. And he wants Moxley to feel comfortable enough to show up to his job, and here is what he had left to say.
Not used to dealing with a pro wrestler who won't happily look up at the lights for him. But guess what, Jonathan? Since I care about these people so much more than you, and I know how badly they want you here, I want to make sure you feel comfortable enough to show up to your job, huh, bud?
What is this all about? He's about the people, Tony.
Lays on the mat.
This better, John?
You're in this aerial view.
You in your comfort zone now, bud? Huh? You know what the sad thing is, Jonathan? I didn't start this campaign to have a beef with you or a rivalry with you. I started this campaign simply because this great company deserves quality leadership. And Jonathan, you might be one hell of a professional wrestler, but you're not a leader. You know what you are, John? You're a dog. You're a rabid dog chasing cars. You wouldn't even know what to do with one if you caught it. But therein lies the issue, John. You have caught it. You've caught the finest automobile on God's green earth. You've caught Pretty Platinum, the AEW World title. But you know what, John? If you want to prove to these people that I'm wrong and you do care about them, perhaps it's time to fork the keys over. Fork the keys over to a real leader, John. Why wait till September 5th at All Out? Fork the keys over to someone who's better than you, and you know it, John. Fork the keys over to me. Because, John, you know, I know, and the folks watching at home know that we deserve better.
I completely agree with everything.
And then Moxley's music hits. MJF sends his cronies away. And then John Moxley comes out from behind in the entranceway and just whacks him from behind.
Shot from behind. Yeah, what a sneak attack. Oh, no.
He actually took MJF into the podium and just threw him into it, which absolutely looked brutal.
Got MJF the belt a week ago. Absolutely. Good call. No. Paradigm shift. Oh, God, no. And this kid was drilled. MJF drilled by John Moxley. Yes, they will meet. A pay-per-view on September the 5th.
Broke the podium.
That rotten SOB with that attack from behind. When he wakes up telling Jon Moxley was here. Wow, damn it. He outsmarted
Moxley goes to the
MJF.
back again.
Came from the back here. Don't you think for 1 second that makes us even? No, not even close. After what you almost cost me last week, we're not going to be even until September 5th.
Actually, you can see Tony Khan in a gorilla position.
When I teach you a painful lesson in humility, MJF, believe me when I tell you, I'm going to make sure that this is a very bitter pill for you to swallow.
And then we go back to MJF in the thing, and he is just like, my neck, oh, my neck, my neck. Now, if you heard boos, cheers, and Jon Moxley surrounds, there were actual guest fans in the crowd tonight. There were actual people here, all wearing masks, outside of, the wrestlers in the front, as they usually have done. But no, there were actual people a little bit far back who were actually in the crowd. And we're sitting here wondering, gee, what is Vince McMahon going to do for SummerSlam? We all know that for a while here, Vince McMahon has been wanting fans in the crowd. He wanted to be the first professional wrestling or any sports entity in the United States to have live fans in the crowd, in the arena. Well, NASCAR has been doing it outdoors for a couple weeks, and AEW is doing it now. But MJF and Jon Moxley, I'm loving MJF. He is a great talker. He is one of the best. He comes off as legit. He comes off as a real person. And I absolutely love what they are doing with MJF. Jon Moxley and him should have one hell of a match at All Out. This is going to be one of the most anticipated matches going into All Out. So I can't wait to see what happens. At this time, I'm on the fence of if Jon Moxley is going to lose to MJF. I still have a feeling that Jon Moxley is going to be your AEW champion out of All Out, but I could be wrong. We will wait and see what happens there. Now, last week we had a very scary situation when it came to Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara. The guys brawled after Matt Hardy was cutting a promo. Sammy Guevara shows out from underneath the ring. They brawl. Matt Hardy gets set on the table, and then Sammy Guevara takes a heavy chair, throws it at Matt, hitting him square in the head, busting him open the hard way. And honestly, Matt Hardy is lucky he didn't get he's lucky nothing worse happened. But Alex Marvez was backstage with Matt Hardy. Hold on. If I can actually have this thing queued up right, we could be fine. But Matt Hardy backstage with Alex Marvez.
Guevara throwing a chair in your face. This could have ended your career. At least, though, you are going to be able to come back, but not for 10 days until medical clearance is given to you. However, how do you feel overall?
I'm alive. But I don't die, Alex. And ever since last Wednesday on Dynamite, I've been seeing red. And I'm going to continue to see red until I make Sammy bleed the way that I bled. 10 days from now is when I'm clear. And unfortunately for Sammy, that happens to be the date of the next AEW Dynamite. It's the special date, August the 22nd, a Saturday. I'm going to be clear, and I'm going to be here to kick Sammy's weird little ass. And AEW management, they want me to go home, go back to the hotel, get out of here. Tempers are flaring tonight, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait around till he shows up tonight, because he is an obnoxious aunt that needs to be squashed. And as a matter of fact, Matt likes the taste of his own blood. All of my rage, all of my fury, I'm going to use it to end Sammy.
Matthew, are you sure you're all right?
Sammy?
Matt!
Sammy, please!
We need some help.
Hey, what are you doing? Come on, what are you doing, Matt? Come on, Matt, what are you doing? Come on, Matt, it's the wrong guy. Come on, referee.
That's Mike Posey.
Yeah, so Matt Hardy is playing his character is going to be going in a different direction right now. It looks like the headshot by Sammy Guevara is going to lead to the multifarious Matt Hardy becoming more and more deranged. He went from never to from Matt Hardy Will Not Die to the Big Money Matt to Matt Hardy version 1, and all in a foul swoop. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with AEW coming up with Matt Hardy and this Sammy Guevara thing. Obviously, this is going to lead to All Out, but yeah, this is going to be something that we're going to have to look forward to see where it all goes. Cody versus Scorpio Sky, AEW TNT Championship. The TNT Championship is now whole. It is gold-plated. It looks better. I'm going to be honest, even with the plating and the way the title belt looks, it's still It's not like AEW's world title looks great. The women's championship looks great. The tag team titles look great. This title, not so much. Even with the gold plating, even with everything looking the way it should, it still, to me, just doesn't feel like anything special. But that's fine. It's just fine. But we had the Nightmare Family coming with him. You had Cody there. You had Arn Anderson. You had QT Marshall, Dustin Rhodes, and his wife, Brandy. Allie as well. So this all felt to me like this was going to be the night that Cody loses the championship. And of course, Scorpio Sky is the babyface in this match. When was the last time you saw a babyface in a singles match come out with an entourage? Outside of Cody versus Dustin, well, no, Cody was the heel in that one, so that one too. But yeah, Cody coming out with his entourage. I guess the match with Jericho, because he came out with Brandy, DDP, and MJF, but Cody with his entourage, and it just felt like more and more he's slowly but surely cracking into a heel. And this honestly could have been the night that they turned Cody Rhodes heel, having him lose to Scorpio Sky, do the whole handshake thing, put the title around his waist and then drop down and low blow him. But did that happen? Absolutely not. This was, honestly, I think the toughest test for Cody. And Scorpio Sky gave him everything he could. Went out there and tried and did everything he could to win the championship. Fucked with Cody's ribs. Cody's ribs were compromised for the majority of the match. It honestly felt like Cody was going to lose. But unfortunately, Cody did not. And the ending to me felt like it fell just a little bit flat. But most of the Nightmare Family head to the back, and then all of a sudden, the referee is recently fired on April 15th, Mike Chioda. Mike Chioda, who has had 33 years of refereeing experience. Mike Chioda, who was released from WWE in one of the biggest shockers of the Black Wednesday, as we have labeled it, is here now in AEW with one foul swoop, is having one of the most high-profile matches on this card this week. He was actually in two of the three high-profile matches, which is the two title matches, and the main event, which was Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho. This was a shocker. It's a shocker because I didn't expect it to happen, but I'm also not surprised because Mike Chioda still has a lot left in the tank as it comes to a referee. And it was great to see this guy make his AEW debut in the most surprising way possible. So it was great to see Mike Chioda. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with him. And he's not just a referee anymore. He's actually Mike Chioda again. They will actually say his name because in AEW, referees have names. They're not just referees. Back and forth action to start this match. Leapfrog by both wrestlers. Cody goes for a leap, but Sky dodges it, and Cody flies out to the floor. Shoulder block by Sky. Cody doesn't go anywhere. Then he flexes on Sky. Cody then ends up sending Sky out to the floor over the top. Cody returns the favor and offers to hold the rope open. But Sky's like, nah, man, I'm not gonna fall for that. Walks around and gets into the ring. Cody's like, oh, whatever. Scorpio goes to the other side of the ring and goes in. Cody with a big clothesline. Now both guys end up on the floor. Sky hangs Cody's ribs first over the ropes. Sky continues to work Cody over, yanking him into the ring post. Now, usually when you see a referee, when you like to run the outside, the referee, even in this pandemic empty arena era we're in, the referee's vocal when they're counting is not that loud. They're very, very quiet, it feels like. Mike Chioda is like just counting and you can hear him. So that's a nice add to AEW that Mike Chioda brings to it. Cody counted, they're back in the ring. Sky with an abdominal stretch, which Taz mentions is a good thing for him to do because of the injured ribs. Then gets sent to the ramp. Sky with a slingshot cutter, cover 2. Sky's lower back is now bothering him as he tries for a suplex and can't pull it off. Sky put on the top rope. Cody follows and superplex Sky, but Sky locks the legs for a 2 count. Looks for the TKO, but no. Cody hits the crossroads, cover 2. Cody was a bit shocked after that. Cody looks for a power driver. Sky drops Cody face first onto the mat. After he gets out of that, cover 2 count. Sky heads up to the apron. Slingshot cutter attempt. No. Cody hits the crossroads again. And 1, 2, and Sky gets his leg up, and it's close to the rope, so I figured he's going to get his leg up onto the rope and continue the match. But nope. 3 count. Cody retains, and that was that. So Cody is still your TNT champion. The match was good. I honestly thought with the way they were just like telegraphing, it felt like this was going to be the night that Cody loses. But unfortunately, that is not it. Now, Brody Lee is shown on the big screen saying on Saturday, August 22nd, something big is coming. Says some other members of the Elite have been banished, they've been split, they've been splintered, and now it's time for the Elite to put Cody down. And while he's talking about this, he has the old TNT Championship, the unfinished version. Which, okay. He says he's going to take the title out of Cody's hands and give him the incomplete one back. So, that is the next match for Cody, and here we go. Brody Lee versus Cody should be an interesting match. People are sitting there complaining, it's like, why is Brody Lee getting this championship match? It's called Open Challenge. Cody came out the next Wednesday after Double or Nothing and said, the floor is open. I'm going to be defending this title most if not every week, and it's going to be Open Challenge, so anybody can call for it. So this week was Scorpio Sky. Next Saturday is going to be Brody Lee. Now, why are they going to be on Saturday and not on their normal Wednesday night? Simple. The NBA, along with all of the sports besides WWE and AEW, stopped performing because there was nothing. There was nothing they could do. So the NBA, NHL, MLB all came, and MLS came back at the same time. But the NBA playoffs are starting next Monday. I think it is next Monday or next Tuesday. I believe next Tuesday. So the NBA is a bigger money maker and a bigger ratings draw for them than AEW. So who's going to win out for time on TNT, AEW, or the NBA? Clearly the NBA. So next Saturday at the earliest 6 o'clock, but whenever the NBA game is over, AEW will be airing live. Will be airing on tape delay on TNT. So there's that. So we have ourselves an interesting thing. NXT might have a chance to hit 1 million views next week. Everything's going to be on the line. Of course, next week on YouTube, on Wednesday night, AEW is going to be putting on the first half of All Out 2019 on YouTube. Now, why do they need to do this? Because you can go to BR Live right now and watch All Out from last year for free. Every AEW pay-per-view, which I know there's only 4 of them, you can watch on there for free. Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega versus Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. I've asked this and have mentioned this online to Cody and Tony Khan. Why are these guys getting a tag team title opportunity? Why did Darby Allin get a world title opportunity? What was it, last week? Yeah, last week. What is the common denominator between those two, the tag team of this week and the match last week? Both of them were ranked 5. What is the point of having a ranking system if the number one team, the number one contender, isn't the one challenging for the championship? Why is it'd be a little bit different, I guess, if the number 2 challenger was challenging for the championships, but the number 5? What has the number 5 challengers, the number 5 ranked, done to deserve a tag team title opportunity? Hell, FTR is the number 1 contenders by their rankings. Why aren't they getting a title shot? Are we saving that for All Out? Is that when all this is going to go down? But why? Like, if you want to have FTR be the number 1 contenders by the time we get to All Out, that's fine. But don't make them the number 1 contenders now. You put Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy there. Once they lose, they fall down. FTR can move up to where it's like, hey, look, they have a title shot. Darby Allin they could have had Darby Allin moved up after Brian Cage lost. They could have said, well, Darby Allin could be up top. Then when he loses, he falls down. And then MJF eventually climbs to the top when it comes to All Out. They make a mockery of their ranking system every single time the number 1 contender is not being the one challenging for the championship, and you have the number 5 contender, or the number 4, or the number 3, or the number 2. It makes no sense. Why? I'm not going to complain about the match as a whole, but it's just like, why is the number 5 contender getting a title shot when FTR is the champion, is the number 1 contenders? Now, Omega and Jungle Boy get things started. Omega not doing a clean break as they go to the ropes. Stunt gets up on the apron and bark at Omega, and then they get slapped out by Omega. Jungle Boy goes to work on Omega. Springboard arm drag. Omega then takes a drop kick, cover 2, 1 count. Luchasaurus in the match drops Omega, cover 2. Omega fires back with some punches and chops. Omega sent to the corner and gets lit up. Jungle Boy tags himself in, goes to the top, and sets the flip onto Omega. 1-2 kick out. Page finally tags in, sliding lariat on Jungle Boy, cover 2. Omega and Page continue to work over Jungle Boy, but he tries to fire back up with some chops. Jungle Boy looks for a springboard arm drag. Page pulls him down and then hits a big clothesline. Luchasaurus tags in and takes down the champions. Big boot to Omega, another kick to Omega, and then Page. Chokeslam to Page, standing moonsault, cover 2. Omega with a V-trigger, 2 snapdragon suplexes on Luchasaurus. Jungle Boy gets in there, sends Omega to the outside of the floor. Stunt laughs at what happened. And they get snapdragon. Then he gets knocked to the floor. Jungle Boy comes in, goes for a suicide dive to the outside onto Omega, but Omega ducks. So Jungle Boy clearly misses. Omega has to catch him, picks him up, bits him into the snapdragon, and lays him out as well. Now, back in the ring, missile dropkick on Luchasaurus. Omega with a suplex, cover 2. Page tags in, roaring forearms on Luchasaurus. Jungle Boy looks for a Hurricane Rana. Nope, assistant German suplex. Luchasaurus with a roundhouse kick on Omega. Page tries for a buckshot lariat. Nope. Luchasaurus looks for a close chokeslam. Gets double suplex. Jungle Boy frog splashed on the Page. Suicide dive on the Omega. Ugly looking tornado DDT on Page. Jungle Boy distracts the referee. Luchasaurus then takes Marco Stunt, has him on the military press, and just walks from one side of the ring to the other and throws him onto Kenny Omega on the outside. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus with some kicks and elbows to Page, cover. Omega somehow breaks it up. Luchasaurus sent out of his ring. Jungle Boy is powerbombed out of the floor on his partner. Then Omega hits the big flip over to the top rope on both guys. He sends Jungle Boy right back into the ring. Page with the powerbomb, cover 2. Last call, 1, 2, 3, and the tag team champions retain the titles. Now, I'm telling you right now how this is going to happen. They're teasing this too well. FTR are going to get the tag team title match at All Out. FTR are going to be having a match with Omega and Hangman Page. Now, it's going to be either a really quick match, or it's going to go for a while. There's 2 scenarios to this. It's a really quick match where you get the Cody Rhodes, Hardcore Holly situation where Hardcore Holly and Cody Rhodes were the World Tag Team title champions. They were going up against Ted DiBiase and a partner that they didn't know about, supposedly. And as the match was getting started, Cody turns to and takes out Hardcore Holly, and surprise, he's the tag team partner of Ted DiBiase. Pissed off, it was actually what led to, I believe, Hardcore Holly's firing, because he apparently was not happy or wasn't notified of what was going down. Anyway, so they could start the match. FTR saying, well, Hangman Page comes in, and FTR telling Hangman, no, we want him. We want him. So they do that, and as soon as Omega looks like he's about ready to go away, turns around, grabs, flips Omega around, kicks him in the gut, gives him a powerbomb, throws him into FTR. They hit the Goodnight Express. 1, 2, 3, new tag team champions. Or we're having a long match. Kenny Omega is getting the heat on for the majority of the match. He goes to tag in Hangman Page. Hangman Page drops to the floor and walks away. Kenny Omega is like, what the hell are you doing? Get back here. We got this. What are you doing? What are you doing? Something like that. He's saying stuff. Allowing FTR to get their bearings. He turns around into the Goodnight Express. 1, 2, 3, new AEW Tag Team Champions. And then the Four Horsemen is brought together. I don't know who the fourth guy's going to be. It's probably going to be Shawn Spears. And then we go from there. So, FTR are going to be the ones to win the tag team titles. And then when that happens, they can taunt the Young Bucks and be like, listen, we got these before you did. If you want them, you have to take them from us. And that leads us to the last pay-per-view of the year, whatever that's going to be, whether it's Full Gear or they go with something else, I don't know. But FTR are going to win the tag team titles. They are number one contenders. And that's where I think that's going. So, that is where I think we're going with that. So, backstage, Santana and Ortiz take the best friend's luggage. And Ortiz asked Santana, how do you think they got home last week? And they're like, I don't know. Don't care. So, they say, well, you better, boys, be sure to take, be careful where you put your luggage. Grab it, they unzip it all, throw it in the shower, pour a bleach on it, turn on the shower, and let it run. And Santana says, apologize, you must be out your mind. And they walk away. So, FTR and the Young Bucks are hosting the Tag Team Appreciation Night with Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, and the Rock and Roll Express. Matt says the Rock and Roll Express are the original Young Bucks. Their style is what made him and Matt display now. Matt thanks them for being who they are. They wouldn't be here without them. Dax Harwood says it's fans are probably thinking FTR are wanting Arn and Tully here because he's big marks for them. He says, well, you're damn right I am. Harwood talks about getting to have the time of his life traveling with his best friend, Cash Wheeler, and thanking the four men who paved the way for them. Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, and here we go for the rest of this.
I haven't seen so much chemistry in a match that guys put together since Tully and Arn.
Talking about FTR.
But we come to the Young Bucks here. For the last 15 years, they have dominated professional wrestling, and you brought tag team wrestling back the way Robert and I did in the 80s. Really cool. You are, in your generation, the top tag team in the world. You hear me? It reminds me of a tag team back in our generation that I remember. Thank you, guys. Thank everybody.
Tully, I know it's been a while. You haven't been around. You're just getting caught up. So let me help you. Now, I'm not a guy that blows smoke because, quite frankly, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. What I do is tell the truth, and you two guys have taken tag team wrestling. Spectacular is not a big enough word. Outstanding is not a big enough word. To a different stratosphere is not a good explanation. You've made it something entirely different. My hat's off to you. Now these guys, you've been partners for going on 40 years. and you're still at it today. That's got to be some record. My God, you're the tag team of the century. And this is going to ruffle some feathers. But I said it before, and I got no problem saying it today. It's the best team in the world right here.
Speaking about FTR,
You know, Arn, I'll thank you. Give me that microphone for a second. Watch out. You don't want to start nothing you can't finish today. Well, I got news for all of y'all. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback because he's got championship rings. The thing that makes you a great tag team is if you got the belt around your waist, you could come out here and talk about being the baddest and the best. And as of tonight, you are not the champions. So let's pat ourselves on the back and tell everybody how great we are. Looking in the mirror. And I've had something with you for the last year, since last Labor Day, when you came down and you jumped in on my guy's match with Cody Rhodes. And I don't understand this thing right here.
Well, understand this. I'm a grown-ass man and have been for some time, and I don't remember ever asking permission for anything, but I can see what's going on here, so.
Okay. Let me get back and finish this deal.
he just gets slapped in the face.
Come on! Timbers are flaring up here.
It didn't take Ricky Morton long to get involved in this. And Dax is hurt. He's hurt his knee again.
Yeah, he's got that issue with that knee we saw last week. He's definitely buckled it, looked like on that little bit of a pull-apart they had going on there.
Well, this kind of insanity here. Tag team insanity. There needs to be an intervention, folks.
So Sean Spears came out, and of course Arn Anderson left. Tully Blanchard got slapped. They started. Cash came down like he had a knee brace on, so he falls to the ground, being injured. So the Young Bucks and Sean Spears are getting Tully Blanchard out of the ring, leaving the FTR and the Midnight Express, or the Rock and Roll Express.
Well, we were honoring the great tag teams, and Tully came in with some attitude here, didn't he?
He did.
Well, he's right. I agree with Tully.
Yeah, it's a hollow, proclaim hollowness if you're not the champions in Tully's mind.
What in the world are we watching? Oh, man! What are they doing to Ricky and Robert? Look at FTR!
Come on! No! No, goddammit, no!
Wow!
They attacked the Rock and Roll Express from behind, and Ricky took a spike power driver and sold the shit out of it. These guys have have done playing nice. FTR are going to be the cold bastards they should have been from the start. It's alright having a little bit of delay because of just how the tag team scene is, but this was great. This is a way to get the continuation of the slow burn to the Young Bucks feud. They hug outside. FTR does. The Young Bucks are still checking on Ricky Morton. Out come the tag team champions. Hangman Page and them are checking on them. Hangman Page has got his drink because of course he does. He walks over and he's like, "What the hell, guys? What the fuck?" And they're like, we're good, man. We're good." They just like, "We're good." And they walk away, and that was that. This is setting up the best. This is just going to be great for these guys. They're doing what they can to build this up. And as I said before, it's going to come down to, at the next pay-per-view, at All Out, it's probably going to be these two guys winning the titles from Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, with Hangman turning on Kenny. That's the if, ands, or talk. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I believe that's where we're going. So, backstage, Alex Marvez is talking to Mike Chioda. When Jericho shows up and says Chioda and him have been around the world and they've had a few great times, he tells Chioda about that time he saved his job 18 years ago, and that's why Jericho brought him in again tonight for his match against Orange Cassidy. Jericho says when time is right, he'll need Chioda to do the right thing. Chioda says he'll call it right down the middle. Jericho's like, oh, I got you, wink, 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 and walks off. AEW Women's Champion Hikaru Shida versus Heather Monroe. I do not have any idea who she is, but she gives it. This is a heck of a match here. That I thought, okay, who's Shida going to squash tonight? This is going to be an easy win for her, and obviously it wasn't. Hikaru Shida had to fight for this one, but in the end, surprisingly, she hits her with a stretch muffler. She gets a stretch what was her name again? Heather Monroe does a Falcon Arrow, and she gets a 2 count. Hikaru Shida almost lost to a Falcon Arrow, and then immediately she gets her into the stretch muffler, makes her tap out, and Hikaru Shida wins. After the match, Tony Schiavone is on stage and asks her about all the challengers she's going to have for her title. We have a few weeks left until we get to All Out. All Out is going to be on September 5th. And she says, I'm waiting. Bring it on. And that is that. Now that Rose is still in the rankings as the number 1 contender, is it going to be a rematch between these two? I don't know. And AEW needs to do better with their women's division in telling us who and building it up. But that is going to be what we see with them. I have no idea what's going on and what's going to be happening. We're in the dressing room now with Jake Roberts and Lance Archer. Roberts goes on talk, rant, and talk, and I would play a clip for this, but I have no idea what he's saying. Jake Roberts is famous for having that low pitch, menacing voice, and he still does that today. He doesn't scream, he doesn't yell. While he's doing this, some slob or some bum knocks into Lance Archer, so Archer beats the piss out of him. Somebody else. After he's done with that, he says, have you told him yet, Jake? And Jake says, I'm getting to it. So he rips the buttons off of Jake's shirt, turns him around, rips the back of his shirt, and it says on the back of Jake's Snake Robert, everybody dies. Talk about people who were directionless. Lance Archer was the Murder Hawk Monster coming in, beating the brakes off of everybody who came in his way. He loses the TNT Championship Finals to Cody, and what has he done since? Nothing. He had that match with Joey Janela, but there really wasn't any build to it. So what has he done? What did they have for him? Nothing. This is AEW. One of AEW's biggest problems is their big men. Of course, Wardlow is still tied to MJF, so he's not directionless. But Brody Lee and Lance Archer, the other two big men, just feel like they have zero direction going. So I just don't have a clue. So part one of last year's All Out will be on next Wednesday at 8 p.m. on YouTube. Next Saturday, because of the NBA playoffs, FTR will take on Private Party. The Elite versus Alex Reynolds, John Silver, and Alan Angels, a.k.a. 5. Finals for the Women's Tag Team Cup Tournament, which the semifinals are going to be this Monday. Darby Allin will be in action in the Lucha Bros, the Butcher and the Blade versus Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, and the Natural Nightmares. And Cody versus Brody Lee for the AEW TNT Championship. That is going to be a card next week. Is this a stacked card? I'd say yeah, a little bit, but FTR versus Private Party, that should be a heck of a match. The Elite versus the Dark Order Rejects. Alan Angels is fine, but Alex Reynolds and John Silver are nothing but jobbers. The Lucha Bros, the Butcher and the Blade versus the Natural Nightmares and Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. Come on. Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy, the $7,000 obligation match. Best Friends and the Inner Circle are banned from ringside. Would they stay that way? No, they would not. So, this match was different than the last one. Usually, Orange Cassidy comes out, hands in the pocket, but not this time. He looked like he was going to put his hands in the pocket, then him and Jericho just start fighting. Laying hands back and forth, beating the piss out of each other. This was personal. Orange Cassidy, it's so personal that Orange Cassidy was like, fuck what I usually do, and I'm going to beat the fuck out of this guy. So this match was good. This match was, by the way, it was around this time that this match started going on that NXT dropped the bombshell with Velveteen Dream making his return after months of being away and allegations of misconduct with him. So I would be lying if I said that I didn't, because I was watching TNT on my phone. Not on my phone, but on my TV. But I would be lying if I didn't check over on NXT at that time to see what was going on with the Velveteen Dream. But from what I saw of this match was good. It was different. That's one of the biggest things about Orange Cassidy that we have seen, is that a lot of his matches have been the same. He starts out as a sloth. He doesn't do anything. Then he eventually starts showing it, hey, I can wrestle. But this one, as I said, he started off just throwing hands with Chris Jericho, getting the better of Chris Jericho for a bit. And it just became an all-out brawl. They beat the hell out of each other. Jericho had him in the walls of Jericho for a minute. Now, Cassidy down on the mat. Jericho rolls over. The cover only gets 2. Jericho with a cheap low blow as he bumps into the referee with Cassidy, and the referee doesn't see it. Jericho misses the Judas effect, and Cassidy gets the mousetrap pin for the win. Chris Jericho loses to Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy is out on the outside, like recovering, and Chris Jericho's in the ring with the biggest look of shock that he could have. He lost to the man who puts his hands in his pockets. Jericho is absolutely embarrassed. This is obviously going to lead to a rubber match at All Out. What's going to be the stipulation then? Because you can't just go, well, singles match with guys being banned to singles match. No. There needs to be a stipulation like cage match or last man standing match or something. Make this worth something other than just another match between these two. We got to have something else. So it's going to be interesting what happens. AEW had a heck of a match show tonight. Now, next Wednesday should be interesting for NXT. Next Saturday will be interesting for AEW because the first half of it, if it starts at 6 o'clock, will be going up against the NXT TakeOver. If they had the NXT TakeOver 30 pre-show, and the second half will be going up against NXT TakeOver 30. Any dumbass who goes out there is like, oh, I can't believe AEW is going to try and counter-program NXT TakeOver 30. I'm like, you're fucking stupid. AEW had no choice but to put their show on Wednesday night, or on Saturday night. Wednesday, Thursday are going to have NBA basketball. Friday probably too, and Saturday as well. AEW is not having a choice. NXT is AEW is not counter-programming WWE. NXT being on the USA Network is counter-programming AEW. Plain and simple. If you think otherwise, you're an idiot. It should be interesting to see what happens. Ratings are going to, how are we going to do this? I guess we can say that next week's ratings and the week after that, the ratings are not going to matter as much because NXT will be on where it should be. AEW will have to be preempted to Saturday, and the week after that, and the week after that. So the next time we are actually going to have a proper show that's going to count when it comes to the Monday Night War is going to be the second week of September, I believe. I could be wrong. But AEW had a heck of a show. I'm really looking forward to Jon Moxley versus MJF for the AEW World Championship at All Out. And that's all we have for All Out so far. And of course, Jericho versus Orange Cassidy with a stipulation, please. That's not just another singles match with whatever they want to stick on there. No. Needs to be something else, a finisher to the match, to the show. But that is your AEW on TNT review. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter at The France Club. Find me on twitch.tv/The France Club. Find me on Instagram at The France Club. And I will see you guys Friday for more SmackDown, where we'll see probably what the follow-up to Retribution is and a bunch of other crap. But until then, my name is The France, and I'll see you guys later.